In the American wilderness, where the temperature dropped to -20 degrees, Ruth took off her jeans. She put on her shoes. Then she did a quick warm-up. She walked to the lake and stepped carefully toward the center. Why would Ruth step into the icy water? Because beneath the lake lay a crashed airplane. Just 1 hour earlier, Bob had struck up a conversation with Ruth. The next moment, the plane malfunctioned and exploded. It spun out of control and crashed straight into the lake. When Ruth came to, she immediately went to check on the pilot. But Bob selfishly forced open the cabin door to escape. The plane instantly tilted and began sinking. The pilot, George, was pinned under a steel beam. No matter what Ruth did, she couldn't get him free. And just like that, the pilot drowned. Ruth had no choice but to swim upward, knowing what experts have explained. The longest a human can stay underwater is only 22 minutes. Luckily, Ruth finally broke the surface. She saw Bob, the one who had fled earlier, now calling desperately for help. Ruth tried to save him, but in his panic, he pulled her underwater. After a struggle, with Ruth guiding him, they managed to swim slowly toward the shore with the co-pilot. After an entire day and night, they finally reached land. Exhausted, they collapsed on the ground. Ruth realized Bob wasn't moving anymore. It turned out his leg had also been struck by a piece of metal. Ruth tried to stop the bleeding by using Bob's belt as a bandage. Then she pulled out her phone to call for help. But clearly, out here in America's wilderness, there was no signal. She tried another phone, but it required a password. Ruth stood by the lake. All around her were mountains and endless trees. She stripped off her wet clothes. After wringing them out, she hoped to hold on to just a little more warmth in the sub-zero winter. She had to get help immediately. So she grabbed the phone and started climbing to higher ground, hoping for a signal. Hours passed. Still nothing. She had no choice but to keep going. 5 hours later, she finally reached the top of the mountain. The sight before her left her stunned. It was a complete no man's land. Unfortunately, her phone still showed no signal. She called out, but the only response was the sound of the wind. With no other option, she returned to where she started. She found Bob's lighter was broken. Ruth broke down again. When Bob woke up, he told Ruth he wasn't really a photographer. He had lied to her back on the plane. That meant no one knew they were here, and no one would be coming to save them. After saying this, Bob bled out and died, and Ruth had just discovered she was pregnant. Now she was completely alone. She could no longer hold back her emotions.